This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast at talkstarwars.co.uk. Welcome back to Talk Star Wars. I'm Mark.
I'm Stephen.
And I'm Rob.
And hello.
Hello.
We've got a few bits we want to get through this evening. But I think, considering we've just been chatting about this before we started recording, let's address this first at the top of the show. The creative world lost a powerhouse today. A powerhouse in a tiny package. Just a couple of hours ago, we learnt that we'd lost Prince. Steve learnt the news about 60 seconds ago.
Yeah, can't believe it.
And we are all absolutely devastated.
It's gutting.
There's not a lot. I know there's not a lot of correlation between Prince and Star Wars, but it was certainly a major fixture in my life, and I know he will be sadly missed. Are you guys
absolutely
Prince fans?
Yeah, big time. Big time.
I'm not, but I still think he's amazing what he's done, and he was a musical genius as well. Like he could play so many instruments, and he was like amazing at every one of them. Not just like slightly okay. He was just brilliant at them. And
I heard he was a weird dude.
Yeah, I think.
Mark, you're a Kevin Smith fan, aren't you?
Yes.
So you've heard that story about him going to record with Prince.
Yeah, I know that there was some. I know that there was some friction.
That's a weird story. He's just a very, like I say, he's just a very odd dude. He lived in a kind of, by the sounds of it, he lived in his own little world in a lot of ways. Was very used to getting his own way and found it very weird when he didn't.
I mean, it's scary, isn't it? I mean, when you're looking at, you're a bit younger, Rob, but he's 12 years older than Mark and I. Well, 14 than Mark, but
yeah. I mean, I'm not a picture of health by any means, unless it's an Escher.
Just shows you live your life, because it could be over tomorrow. Everyone's pegging it at the moment. Victoria Wood, God rest her.
I know that one was a sad one as well.
That won't mean a lot to Americans, but she's a huge over here as a comedian, and
absolutely,
she unfortunately passed away. This week, and it's just everyone's like
Guy Hamilton.
People this year. Alan Rickman, God knows.
Bowie.
David Bowie. Guy Hamilton today as well. He directed 4 of the classic Bond films.
Wow.
Including Goldfinger.
David Guest, is it?
David Guest. That was a sudden one.
There was an awful lot more stars in the heavens right now than there was.
The party must be fantastic.
I would say
the after party.
It's certainly being well scored at this moment.
Absolutely. Prince, Bowie, man.
Okay. Well, Prince, nothing compares to you. You will be missed.
Nice touch.
Okay.
That's very downbeat.
Yeah,
right.
let's
bring it back up. Star Wars, baby.
Let's punch it, Chewie, because I want to just say, last week I put a call out about the charity that we are supporting, Haley's Heroes, and
yes.
I asked people if they would give, and they certainly did. They've given very, very generously. So thank you to everyone that took the time to make your donations to sponsor Kelly, who's doing the London Marathon. Mm-hmm. And a special thank you to Mr. Mark Hamill, who actually took the time out of his day to retweet the link. I reached out to him on Twitter, and he took the time out of his day to retweet the link to Kelly's donation page. And
that's awesome.
He tweeted that out to 1 million people.
Yep. Which
was absolutely astonishing.
Yeah.
And I've got the tweet impressions open in front of me. 155,787 of Mark's followers saw that tweet.
Mm-hmm.
And just under 1,100 of them interacted with it. So,
yeah,
retweeted, liked, actually gave money.
I
will have more news on where she is with the total and how she got on at London Marathon after the event.
Fair.
But she's extremely pleased with the amount of support that she's got, and the money is going to do extraordinary work for young adults with cancer. So what I'm going to do is you can still donate right up to and including, I think, the 16th of May. So the link will remain on the homepage of Talk Star Wars. If you want to give again, it's all very gratefully received. So thanks again for your generosity.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, one of the things that people forget is, it's easy to say, oh, well, Mark Hamill is a celebrity, so he's got. I mean, it's fair to say most celebrities have got more free time than the rest of us in a lot of ways. But you imagine the deluge of tweets he gets every day.
Yeah.
And to take this time out to look at one of those and go, no, that's worthy of sharing and stuff is just really, really cool.
Yeah.
And
fantastic.
he's training how many Padawans at the moment? I mean,
well, at least one.
Yeah, exactly. At least one. Yeah, which is a full-time job.
Yeah, and as we decided last week, he is also communing with Force Ghosts, so that's going to be
there you go.
Force Goats.
Force Goats,
yes.
Yeah.
Horse goats, they're like centaurs, but even weirder.
Okay, let's get into some listener feedback. So we got a couple of emails to get through. Steve, you're going to do the honours there, aren't you? But before we do, let me just do a couple of bits from Twitter, because we've had three really heartwarming tweets over the past few days. No reviews on iTunes, so guys, please feel free to jump over there and leave us a nice big fat 5-star review if you're so inclined. But I wanted to just call out a few people. Jose Juarez, who goes by @DarthChicken566, says thanks for all the great content. As does Ad Shilia on Twitter @Ad.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
He's put Talk Stars, keep up the good work, lads. Enjoying the podcast. And another fantastic Twitter handle, Stu Backer @Tales of Geekdom, says great
awesome
podcast once again. That came out just after we posted the last episode.
Nice.
This stuff really does mean a lot to us, so by all means keep it coming.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Steve, you wanted to jump onto these emails? We've got a couple of cool emails there.
We have Ben @Sentry_Eagle tweeted us at Talk Star Wars. Some say that is Snoke Snoke inside a Bacta tank. That Bacta tank, I guess, is the one with the guards, the red guards either side.
That's right.
Yeah,
can't wait for Celebration.
So.
Yeah, can't wait for Celebration UK. Hope you guys cover the event.
Yeah, Ben, I did send Ben a message just to let him know that we are going to be, well, at least you and I, Steve, are going to be at Celebration for the full 3 days, and the intention is to fire out all sorts of media from there, like YouTube videos will be going out. I would imagine a few Periscope broadcasts, and
we'll have the whole crew that aren't normally on here that used to be on Movie Geek, but I guess when we're sitting in a hotel room, they'll have to get involved.
They'll be involved, and there'll be. I think there'll probably be some ad hoc podcastery if I've got the bandwidth on the.
Are we getting the Talk Star Wars shirts?
No, we're going to have lanyards.
Lanyards? Why can't we? I'll put in
cheaper.
for it. Let's get some shirts.
If you want us to wear shirts, then donate. If you're happy with us wearing lanyards, I will be wearing a shirt.
We do only make about 50p a month, and that isn't a joke. So yeah, if you really want us to see us, if you want to see us at Celebration UK, please help us buy some shirts. Right. We're all naked. I'm naked at the moment, by the way, but that's fine.
Stop podcasting naked.
Yes, Steve,
I couldn't help it.
I heard this. You don't need to be.
Before you joined the call, Rob, you could hear the zipper going. You couldn't wait to get his kit off.
I slipped down to my underwear and I thought, nah, let's go the whole hog. If I'm really serious about this, the pantaloons are coming off.
Right, what's the symbol we've agreed to use? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Colon X.
There's a private.
Oh no, don't say colon.
Colon X.
About me.
Okay, let's talk very, very briefly about Ben's suggestion that it could be Snoke inside that Bacta tank, because he's not the only one, actually, that's mentioned this to me this week. What's the over and under on that being Snoke?
Well, I think I said yes, because I know that's the general feeling between you guys, but I'm not sure it's even a Bacta tank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's too misty. Bacta tanks they were clear when Luke was in his. And it more looks like an energy beam to me, a very wide energy beam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or a hologram turning on when it's bright.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's room for all those theories are really valid. There's room for all of that.
Absolutely.
Rob, what's your take?
So I'll address it in two parts. I'll address the point. I still think it is a Bacta tank, and I think it's coming out of, because I mean the one in Hoth Rebel base is kind of stationary and it's been there for some time and all that. Whereas that one might be hidden normally and just kind of has just been revealed, like Darth Vader's meditation chamber in Empire.
Yeah.
Something a bit like that. It strikes me that it could have just been sort of, it might even be a kind of a bit more specialized than a back to tank. It might be sort of for cryogenic freezing of some description. So I know we don't like to bring in real world terms, but something they could replace it with a Star Warsy word very easily.
I mean, he's really damaged, isn't he, Snoke? So maybe he does need a dunk now and then just to keep the.
So my second part is that Snoke in the back to tank? I don't think so. That to me seems far too tidy, and invites a lot of questions about where he suddenly why he's suddenly in Rogue One, so episode 3.5, if you want, when he hasn't turned up anywhere else, ever.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Agree with you.
It's too tidy.
Yeah,
for me.
It's too convenient as well. I don't think Rogue One's going to address the events of the Force Awakens.
Unless it's when he first got his injury on his head. Maybe it's when he first got that injury and he's being treated for it, just to sort of get some join between the films.
But one of the creatives on The Force Awakens said that, I can't remember who it was, I think it might have been Neil Scanlon, who's the special effects guy, who's the creature workshop guy. I think he said that Snoke was around during the events of the original trilogy, but he was in the wings, which is what fueled my Plagueis theory, that he was watching from afar, waiting until Palpatine was out of the way, and then he could renew his position.
Yeah, he does say in the novelization of Force Awakens that he's been around long enough to see the Empire rise and fall, and that's the specific wording they use.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear that he's been around for a fair old while.
And also, the other part of this, not Ben's email, but somebody else that contacted us as well mentioned this Snoke in the back to tank theory, and said that would make the cloaked figure Palpatine, and I don't buy that at all.
No.
My position on this whole Snoke thing is bringing him in to frame will severely undermine Palpatine, and by extension it'll undermine Vader.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it'll undermine the events of Jedi.
No.
So I don't see that. I don't see it being Snoke.
No, I don't think so. It's a nice idea, but I don't see it.
I like the idea of it being Vader, but I'm not married to it. I'm quite happy for it to be Hot Tub Palpatine, which you struck on last week. But the more I think about that, the more I like it. So.
Vader, baby.
Yeah. But, thank you for your tweet, Ben.
Yes, thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Connor at the Baldy Wookie asks,
hello, Connor. Yes.
If a force choke is a dark side power, then why does Luke use it on the Gamorrean guards in Jabba's palace? Well, I don't think it is a dark side power. It's a crushy power, which they can do to anything. They're just applying it to a neck. But I get where he's coming from.
I love your wording. I want you to write the Star Wars books.
Yeah, it does.
Ben brought out his crushy power and swung his woo-woo sword.
His glimmering shaft.
I think that might give us a bit more of an insight into your dark side, Steve. That you don't consider that choking somebody to be a dark side power.
Well, all right, okay. Let's clarify what Baldy Wookie means.
Is he
talking about
who's going to be doing the retraction next week, Steve?
No, is he talking about doing the choke itself, the actual act of squeezing stuff together, or that it's on a neck?
I suppose it's the neck that he's objecting to, because I mean we've seen things move in Star Wars, and that's essentially what you're doing, isn't it? You're moving the windpipe from an open position to a closed position.
Yeah.
I don't think it's neither. I think things like those the sparkly lines coming out of the hand is a dark side.
Right.
You know. Things like
do you mean lightning? Oh, we should announce, actually, Steve, that you're going to be writing the next Star Wars encyclopedia.
I think things like that obviously are, and obviously healing people, they're bringing them back to life and all that's been spoken about. But crushy things, nah.
Okay.
Carrie Fisher-Price, my first Star Wars. Wonderful. See
I
that there? Carrie Fisher-Price. See what I did there? Nice.
that was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. Then I ruined it by explaining it.
It was a lovely subtle joke.
It started off so well.
I'm with Connor on this one. I think just so we can try and move this along. I am with Connor on this. I think that the Force choke I think is a dark side power.
Yep.
And I believe Luke uses it because we're seeing Luke go to the dark side over the course of 3 films. And the moment he stops himself is when he finally confronts Palpatine and realises that he's being manipulated by both Vader and Palpatine. Otherwise, his path could have been exactly that of Anakin's. Now, that's what I find very interesting, that the difference is that Luke had somebody in his life that he could feel compassion for, and that pulled him back from the dark side. But it's been expressed by other people more qualified than me that this is what's happening because it's illustrated in Luke's wardrobe. That he starts in that very white tunic, like the judo pajamas he wears in A New Hope.
Yep.
In the second film,
sorry, judo. Do you mean throwy?
Throwy, yeah.
Yeah.
Throwy mat clothes.
Throwy choppy. Yeah.
In Empire, he's wearing a very grey. The
Yes.
Bespin fatigues are very grey.
Yes.
And then we see him rock up at Jabba's palace in all black.
Yeah.
And that's when the dark side starts coming out.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. I think there's one thing we have to remember about Luke compared to Anakin is that while he was learning, Anakin had guidance of people who would sort of rein him in and say, no, shouldn't be doing that. That's a path to the dark side. Luke didn't really have that. He had very much a sort of ad hoc, a bit of a hodgepodge of Jedi training from, an old man he met a few days before, a puppet, and then he's been on his own, sort of figuring a lot of it out by himself. Because actually, we can only assume that between New Hope and Empire, he's not been shown anything. He's been kind of learning it as he goes. And between Empire and Jedi, obviously, we know that he hasn't seen Yoda because when he goes back, he's surprised that Yoda's in such poor health.
Yeah.
So I think it's a reflection of Luke's lack of guidance, like lack of instruction by other Jedi, having no other sort of role models in the Force in terms of... obviously, he's also hanging around with Han Solo a lot. And he's quite sort of... he's probably taught him a few bad... Yeah, he's a bit of a reb.
Yeah, not to mention
I think
he dabbled in incest.
Yes, exactly.
Not knowingly. That's different.
Well,
he had a wanton kiss.
I've been told. My lawyers have told me to say.
Isn't it more a fact that anyone with a force can strangle someone? It's just it's uncivilized for a good, light
so
side.
uncivilized. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's more of
a lot of
it.
A lot of it is what motivates the Force user as well. So with Anakin, a lot of his motivations, especially with some of the stuff he did on Tatooine in Episode 2, was a fear of losing his mother. And we see the same behaviour with Luke when he's training on Dagobah with the puppet, as Rob put it. When he thought he was going to lose Han and Leia, he couldn't wait to leave his training and run off, and he went off half-cocked. So,
and also, Anakin obviously choked, what's her name at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, so the only time we've ever seen that is it's been a dark side individual doing it.
I think it's where they don't want to use it, the good Jedi, because it is uncivil. It's not nice, it's a coward's way out.
Yeah, it's aggressive.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is like I say, he hasn't had that person sort of slapping him on the wrist before that point. So he's learning, the hard way in a lot of respects.
But bringing it back to Connor's question, I think the bottom line's got to be that that it is a dark side power, the Force choke, and Luke uses it because he's gone over, or he's at least circling the drain of the dark side at that point when we see him. And it's a cute.
Teetering.
Hopefully, this will reframe that scene for Connor to rewatch it and think, and watch it now and think, we should be concerned about Luke at that point in his development because he's very perilously close to that dark side precipice. And
Absolutely.
that's when the Emperor's right there waiting to sort of
Swoop.
snatch him up. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for your
Thanks.
message, Connor. He promises one a week.
Okay.
Well,
Bring it on.
We had the following email.
We look forward to having him on the show. That's how I started.
That's how you started, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
And then you never look back.
Absolutely. Yes. My neck hurts.
I'm going to say this name wrong, Mark. We had the following email from Ilya Van Hoof, aka Evidentialist. We don't know what that means, but we think
name.
It's something to do with somebody who needs evidence, I guess. For stuff
I don't dispute that, but I just think in general it doesn't matter what it means. It's a great name.
It is. On Movie Pilot, this was. Hi, I'm a big Star Wars fan. Love your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could do an episode about Rey's identity. I'm absolutely convinced that she is Luke's daughter. I've written a piece on Movie Pilot where I list all the evidence to support this theory. Some of it isn't widely known among fans. I'll send you the link to it. Thanks and keep up the good work. GRTZ. And then, do you want me to read out this HTML, Mark? Or
I'll put it in the show notes. I've read the article.
I've just finished up reading it before we started recording.
Yeah, and I really like it. I really thought it was well written.
Yeah, it's really good.
I don't agree with the position that Luke is Rey's father.
Yeah.
I think we've covered it before, and I think there's sort of room to spend some time on it in a later episode, perhaps.
Okay.
But right now, I'd say that some of the points made in Evidentialist's post on Movie Pilot hint at the parallels between
the journey,
Luke's path and Rey's path, and Rey's path and Kylo's path, and I agree that they're all there, but it's just the hero's journey, and that was Anakin's journey as well. You know,
there's a couple here which I think are quite tenuous as well. I mean, something like, for example, on the trading cards, they've got the same number, and they're both on their speeder. Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting one. And if it was, a deliberate act, it's a very lovely touch, very subtle.
And that was just purely to frame her as the hero. And that, way back on Movie Geeks Film News, when we first started, we covered those trading cards, didn't we, Steve? I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
And we brought that up then because that's when Rey's name was revealed, and we suddenly realised then that she would be the lead. That it was her story we were going to be following. And that, I think, is the point of those cards. It's showing us who our hero is in this tale, and for once it's a young woman, and that's enough. And I don't want to get on my high horse too much about it if we're going to talk about it at a later date, but I'd say to package her up as an extension of Luke, whether it's as his daughter or as his creation in the dark side, doesn't really do her much justice when she's a phenomenal character in and of itself, you know. Much the way Luke didn't need to be Anakin's son to become the person that we fell in love with in the original trilogy. We didn't actually know Anakin at that point in time, did we? We only knew Vader.
Sure.
So I don't think she needs to be Luke's daughter to have any ground here.
No.
I suspect there are ties, and you know what my position is on that, but I don't know if I agree that she's his daughter.
Yeah, it's on YouTube if anybody wants to see it.
Yeah.
And episode 13, I think, of the show.
That's about right, yeah.
Yeah. There is one thing I will point out about this article, which is bloody fantastic, and it's something I wish I'd picked up. I didn't really think about it at the time, but now I've seen it written down. I thought, oh, that's a really good point. When Rey arrives at the Resistance base, R2-D2 suddenly wakes up. She's also seen Luke putting his hand on R2-D2 and doing something with him in her Force vision. Coincidence? I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, it might be, but I really like that. It's a really nice...
it's not a coincidence, but I'll tell you what it is. It is an oversight in writing, and this comes from JJ in a similar way to the whole comment about Chewie circumventing the Leia hug. R2 didn't have any responsibilities in the story until that point in time, and then they just woke him up. And JJ writes that off as he is doing sort of deep research, or he's in like idle mode as he's working on stuff. You know, he's processing. Because initially I toyed with the idea that Luke woke him up remotely, or that he was programmed to wait until Skywalker DNA landed on the planet. But JJ sort of wrote all those off and said, no, he'd been working on stuff, processing, working on that map.
I think he was
just convenience.
I think he was asleep until that chip, the other bit of the map arrived.
Maybe.
I also heard that R2's got a really bad drink problem, so we don't know how many he had in him at that point.
What did I miss? No.
I personally, I don't think she's anything to do with Luke because it's too obvious. And I think they're going to go away from obvious. Hopefully, please go away from obvious in the next one. Don't make it too. Let's go out of the box now. I don't think she's Luke's daughter at all. Are we covering who we think she is? Because I've got a theory, but I think we'll hold it for another.
Yeah, let's hold it back for another episode.
Okay.
Perhaps we'll stick it in next week and we'll spend a bit more time on it. But what must be mentioned here is that I haven't put it in the show notes because there's not much of a story to it, but JJ did come out last week. A young man asked him a question. I don't think I put this in the show notes.
Yes, I know the one. I know the question you're talking about.
It is. Actually, it's the first point on the show notes. A young Star Wars fan asked JJ Abrams at the Tribeca Film Festival who Rey's parents are.
Yeah.
And JJ revealed that they are not in The Force Awakens.
Okay, now there was clarification after this, right?
He did walk it back a little bit, yeah.
He did go on to say, I never said they weren't in The Force Awakens. I said they weren't revealed in The Force Awakens, which I don't know how true that is, but obviously we know he's faked us out before, and he tends to. I think after the Into Darkness fiasco, where spoilers, he's going, oh, he's not Khan, he's not Khan, he's Khan.
JJ won't lie to an audience again.
I don't think I think he'd be a lot less ham-fisted, a bit more subtle.
He took quite a lot of flack for this comment as well because it's not really Rian Johnson is the custodian of Star Wars now, and it's not really JJ's place to be making these comments about things that might impact Ryan's plots. I'm glad he's still. It's not to say that that's the position I take. I enjoy hearing from JJ Abrams. He's so passionate about these things.
Sure.
But yeah, I think there's more to it than that. I will accept that at face value that certainly Han and Leia aren't her parents, and I don't think Luke is.
I certainly don't believe Han and Leia are.
No.
So I think there would have been a lot more. I mean, there's certain little hints that somebody like Han might know a bit more about her about her or about her situation than he's letting on.
That's what I think. I think that there might be part of the reason. I mean, we are doing this. We should do it. This will be my last word on it.
All right.
We'll deep dive it next week. But I think part of the reason Luke's school fell was because he brought a Virgins into the school and was championing her as the next big thing, and that pushed Kylo over the edge. Jealousy.
I can swing with that.
That's what I think it is. Whether he created the Virgins or whether the Virgins was a creation of, I don't know, Snoke, possibly.
Who knows?
Whoever created her, I think that she's just another Anakin, and not a literal reincarnation of Anakin, but I think that the situation is the same, and perhaps Luke thought, I'll shepherd her through her training, and then it got away from him. That's what I suspect.
Maybe. Yeah, I can believe it.
Well, thank you, Ilya.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Ilya. That's a great
and stay in
and good
touch.
piece as well. And a good article as well. Really enjoyed that.
We're not sure if that's a man or a lady, Ilya. I'm not sure if it's.
I think it might be a gent. There's been a few comments on our YouTube channel, and the avatar is a male character. It's not. I don't think it's the writer.
If it's the same one that's on the website, it's not Ilya Van Hoof by any stretch. It's what's his name? Richard Dawkins.
Right. Okay. Well, if that is Richard Dawkins in disguise, thank you for sending an email.
Right. Well, Richard Dawkins, the agnostic or the atheist.
I was going to say, there's nothing agnostic about.
No,
Richard
there
Dawkins.
isn't, is there?
Emphatically.
Okay, do you want me to move on to the next one?
Let's get on to Kyle's email.
Kyle Russell, from Tumbling Saber. Kylo Russell, from Tumbling Saber. Hey guys, look, in this golden age of Star Wars fandom, there's no shortage of things for us to discuss and dissect. But there's really an important topic that requires more thought than us three dopes were able to provide in our last. Oh, well, this is from you, Mark.
Okay.
No. This is Kyle from Tumbling Saber.
Okay, more than us three dopes
three.
were able to provide in our podcast. If you listened in, then you might have your own thoughts. But what we really need to know is who's more delicious, Akbar or Gamorrean guards?
No, I was listening to this the other day, and I was as they started to discuss this, I was just wetting myself with laughter. Utter geniuses.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly deep and complex question, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, and we can put our own specific British spin on it and say, who would you rather take into your mouth, a Gamorrean guard or Admiral Akbar?
Oh my!
Well, it depends if you want to taste fish.
That's true.
Well, it is an interesting concept. Akbar looks really... You know when they dry haddock or kippers outside?
Yeah, he looks smoked.
He looks like he's brown from being smoked.
Yeah, smoky goodness.
I don't think that does anything for me.
I will say this, right? Gamorrean guards look grubby in those films.
Yeah, they don't clean. You could never get in those crevi. Is that the plural of crevice? I don't know.
Crevices.
I don't even want to think about
I like crevi.
Here's another question, right? So you can have crevi by all means. That's fine.
Thank you.
That's my new message alert tone. I like crevi.
What do they? So this is a Rule 34. I don't want to go down. But what do they look like underneath the fuzzy sort of bit of the costume? Because they're wearing, they all seem to be wearing armor.
Yeah.
And it's all got that kind of...
They've got a dozen hairy nipples, Rob. Does that put you
right.
off?
I mean, a little, I won't lie. Here we go. Somebody's done a sort of an artwork of what it would look like, what they might look like. They look like Battletoads. That's weird. Interesting. This is one of those ones. You know how people, when they do sort of artwork of themselves, make themselves look more muscly or taller or whatever. Somebody is obviously very much in love with Gamorreans here because
if you look at their toenails,
you could grate cheese on these abs.
Cue next week's messages, and we get one from @Gamorrean Lover.
Their toenails are not clean. If you can get a full shot.
They should be trotters.
They're not good at all. I'm sticking with the first bit. At least Akbar has got a modicum of sort of personal hygiene about him.
Here's
he's probably really self-conscious of his fishy smell and over-cleans, which I'm much more happy with than a toe jammy Gamorrean guard with crevi.
That's a fair point. However, I will countenance with this. In terms of cooking and eating once cooked, a Gamorrean's going to be a lot easier. Because if you think about it, it's going to be a bit like roasting a pig, isn't it? It's like a suckling pig.
I don't eat meat. It's hard for me. I don't eat any. I'm a vegetarian.
See, I don't know why we even asked you this question.
Because if I had to eat meat, I would eat. I always say this. People think I'm weird.
Someone's going to have to make a decision. So look, I'm gonna have to take point here. Being the editor at large at Talk Star Wars,
Go for it.
I'm going to eat both. I'm going to have Akbar sushi with plenty of wasabi whilst I slow roast a Gamorrean guard, and then I'll just do pulled Gamorrean guard on a bap.
Oh.
So you want to spit roast a Gamorrean guard with me?
And we're moving on. What's that sign again that we're using? There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Here we go.
It's a bap.
Colon X.
It's a wrap. It's a bap. Oh my god! I knew there was more room in there. It's a bap.
All right. Thank you. Right, that's Kyle at Tumbling Saber.
Kyle,
Don't forget to go.
Thank you, Kyle.
Check out Tumbling Saber's podcast. They're absolutely superb. They also had a great question about what would you rather? Would you rather have a lightsaber or the Millennium Falcon? If you can have one in the real
lightsaber.
world.
All day long, lightsaber.
Lightsaber, yeah.
Right, I chose...
Millennium Falcon's going to go wrong all the time. It falls into bits.
No, Kyle actually said part of the condition of the Falcon was you would never need to refuel it and it would never break down.
Oh,
That's
no, Falcon.
Come on.
The Falcon.
Hang on.
I said I'd have the Falcon because I'd kill myself in 30 seconds with a lightsaber, but it'd take me 12 parsecs to kill myself with the Falcon.
Right, here's the problem with a lightsaber. Within 10 minutes, I will have lopped a limb off accidentally.
Yeah. 10 minutes.
That's the problem.
And you podcast nude, so that's dangerous territory.
I'm not actually standing here nude. I am in bed.
The smell
I don't
of
believe you.
I just want to. I'm not prancing around with my wedding tackle dangling down. I'm meat and two veg.
Steve, I simply don't believe you. I reckon the reason you're on a right. So this is one thing behind the scenes, listeners. Steve is very reluctant to use a microphone in a freestanding computer. He's on a tablet, right? And one of the reasons I suspect that's the case is so that he can hold it up to his face and then swing in the bottom, just kind of swing his hips, so that he can make full use of the old Newton's cradle.
Airspace
going on.
I'll tell you what's going on at Casa del Steve right now. He's dancing around to Q Lazarus's Goodbye Horses with that tablet held out in front of him.
I don't really need to tuck anymore, Mark. It's just not. It's just gone. It's kind of retired. It's gone into early retirement.
I can't imagine what image I'm going to use on the YouTube version.
Was she a great big fat Gomorian?
It's a sack.
Okay. Let's get into some Star Wars news.
Oh,
go on then,
all
Mark. You take over now. I'm all done.
We've discussed the J.J. Abrams talking to the young Star Wars fan about Rey's parents, so we'll leave that.
Yes, we have.
Did anyone see the special feature, Steve? I know you did, because you and I got together last weekend and you managed to watch The Force Awakens at my house before you fell asleep.
Yes.
We watched
I didn't fall asleep.
You fell asleep while we were watching Jack Reacher.
I did, only because I've seen it 94 times.
Oh, okay. Is that a good movie as an
Oh,
aside?
is it a good movie? Oh my
Very
god!
good.
I love the books. That's
It's
why I'm
exceptional.
Oh,
asking. Yeah, okay, I have to watch it.
It's
I
a lot of
love
fun.
I love the books. And
it's very, very good. I almost
okay.
wish I'd read the books before I saw the film. My dad's read them, and he really liked the film as well. So
okay,
it's kind
great.
of new.
Right, I'll have to check it out then.
And there is a Star Wars connection as well.
Okay.
The police officer, I try not to give any spoilers here. There's an investigator in that show, and it's David Oyelowo who plays. I'm just trying to look it up now because I can't remember the name of the character in Star Wars Rebels. He provides the voice of.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy that looks like Katanga.
Yes.
A little bit.
David Oyelowo plays.
The name's familiar.
Plays.
Okay.
Plays
Great in
something.
that movie.
Agent Callus in Star Wars Rebels. So it is tangential.
There you go. It's tangential, but it is there.
We're always on it. 6 degrees of Talk Star Wars.
That's right.
Anyway, Daisy Ridley's audition was on the special features
Yes.
for The Force Awakens in iTunes.
I have seen bits of it.
They showed that audition clip. She was astonishing. Did you?
It was really good.
Did you see that, Steve, last week?
Yeah, I did. I watched it actually last week while we were on the podcast because you had the same links in last week as well.
Yeah, because of some of the bits we didn't quite
It's
get
talking about
to.
the cry bit.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's powerful stuff.
Really good.
Yeah,
Showing that.
and he asked her to do it a second time, and she did it there and then, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Somebody else needs to do it a second time. I'll be like, no, I'm too tired.
I'm too naked. And I'm dancing to Q Lazarus. I just always want to sort of point out just how much I love Daisy Ridley and how fantastic I thought she was in The Force Awakens. Can't wait to see what she does from now on. No, you're always going to do that. She needs to change her name. I think I might have to send her a message.
Where did that come from?
But he says Dwayne Dibley.
Okay, we got some pretty cool we got some pretty cool Rogue One news that's snuck out. One bit we've already discussed in our listener email about Snoke might be in that Bacta tank, but they've cast a Darth Vader, if rumours are to be believed. A gentleman by the name of Spencer Wilding has been cast to play Vader in Rogue One. You will know him from Guardians of the Galaxy as the blue guy who uses Star-Lord's Walkman.
Oh, yeah.
That guy?
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say the blue guy who traces Star-Lord. That's Yondu, and that's Michael Rooker. So I was really confused there. No, I know the one you mean now. Yeah, the one who sort of sat there with a big smile on his face listening to...
Uka Chaka.
yeah. Hooked on a Feeling. That's it.
Yeah.
Is James Earl Jones still going to do the voice?
Yep. James Earl Jones is still on for the voice.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, this guy, he's obviously a talented man because he's 10 days younger than me. Thank you, IMDb.
That's not a talent.
He is, well, I think it's a quality. If it's not a talent, it's a quality.
Oh, wow. Okay. That explains why your standards are low enough to think that I'm something.
He's 6'7".
My brother.
Hell.
He's got the right.
Can I add a
for
tangent in here, Mark?
My brother in height.
Yeah, do it, Steve. Go on, hit a tangent.
If they, this is really going to miff me off. If they just do little cameo of Vader like they did with Luke and or Leia and almost Han, and they do that with Vader, and he's hardly in it at all, I'm going to be really miffed. And R2D2 and C3PO, they're in there very briefly, in my opinion, in episode 7. Sorry,
I can't entirely agree with that one because I think that we're underestimating just how good Ben Mendelsohn's probably going to be in that film, and he's going to be one of those real kind of, I won't swear, I almost did, real mother chaps. He's going to be one of those real, nasty types. I think Mother Hubbards. There you go, Mother Fathers.
Yeah, melon farmers.
He's going to be one of those real melon farmers. Real nasty. He's going to be like a nasty piece of work, I think. So I think we're going to have plenty of villainous
and
characters.
Who's he playing in it again? Remind me.
The guy in the Grand Admiral's uniform. We don't know his name yet.
Yeah,
but he looks like a proper tool.
Melon farmer. We'll do it like they did with Beverly Hills Cop on TV back in the 80s. So when you say what you want to say, I'll just edit myself over the top.
Is that the guy at first glance looked like Ian McKellen?
Yes,
that's him. Yeah,
very briefly.
That's the guy.
Yeah. But I think Vader will be a significant presence in this movie. But
I hope so.
I also think that Ben Mendelsohn and Mads Mikkelsen will be centre stage.
Maybe. I mean,
that's understandable. But then Vader wasn't centre stage in Star Wars, was he? He was only in a few scenes.
There you go. See, Jedi
quality, not quantity. But I mean, look how we've been reading an article this week about how miffed Mark Hamill was about turning up and then reading through the script and like, I'm not in it.
Yeah.
No lines.
Well,
and they've got to realise that these people aren't just token figures. They've got a lineage and an importance within the scope of the whole films, and it's just,
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that one. I'd definitely like to see more of Vader in Rogue One. But I do think, like I say, it gives us a chance to really get Ben Mendelsohn's character in as a real heel, a real villain that we can resent the whole way through.
I just had a bit of a premonition.
Ooh.
I reckon we're going to see within the first. Here's my bet. I reckon within the first 10 minutes of episode 8, we're going to see Obi-Wan in a Force Ghost.
Okay. I can believe it.
I like that.
Talking about Rey with Luke.
Maybe, yeah, could be.
Going over a performance review.
Yeah.
I like that as well.
How do you think she rates in punctuality? Well, I'll be honest.
I think she is habitually late myself. Recalcitrant little wench. Okay,
so,
let's talk. Now you've started us on the episode 8 path, the dark path. Nice. Let's talk about some of these bits. A little rumour, this is wafer thin, this bit. It came out at the end of Rebel Force Radio last week. They picked something up on Reddit suggesting that episode 8 might be called Echoes of the Dark Side. What do you think of that as a title?
Too long.
Return of the Jedi episode. Yeah, too many. Yeah,
too many words. Syllable-wise, it's not so bad, but too many words. I think.
Yeah. No, I think the words are right. The syllables in episodes. What did you say? It was echoes. Sorry,
Echoes of the Dark Side. Echoes seems a bit weak to me.
Yeah. Echoes of the Dark. No, I don't like that.
Return of the Jedi's got 6.
It wouldn't surprise me if they do mention the dark side.
Yeah, because they want to keep it under wraps, don't they?
That's a wrap.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's too weak.
Yeah,
We can't repel fire with that magnitude.
to me, it just, like I say, it just seems too long and a bit clunky.
Yeah.
And I mean, have you ever seen the clip of Ewan McGregor and I think Nicole Kidman on the red carpet? And Ewan McGregor's literally just learned that episode 2 will be called Attack of the Clones, and he's laughing, mocking it.
Yeah.
He goes, "Is that really the name? Are we serious?" And I think that'd be the kind of thing that you'd see, eventually pop up on the sort of, on a video somewhere, would be sort of Daisy Ridley going, "What?
Yeah.
Really?"
I don't think Attack of the Clones is a bad name.
Not terrible. It's just, it's very kind of like,
Republic
is this happening
serial.
in your area?
Yeah.
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 It's the RKO serials, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was never a big
brand
fan.
smoke plugs.
I like Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I suspect this will have something. I think this will have something about the dark side in it.
Yeah, I think Echoes of the Darkness or something would be, still a bit. Echoes just seems like a weird choice.
Yeah, no.
What about Into
doesn't-
Darkness? Star Wars Into Darkness.
Oh, he'd just be like, "Come on."
It. Darth Khan. He's not Darth Khan.
Could
Okay.
be. It's the Dark and the Furious.
Yeah, that'll be good.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't dig it, and I hope that's not
No.
true. What I do like the sound of is Luke's costume.
Yes.
In the new.
Yeah, you've given a
movie.
little brief description in the show notes. I like that sound. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, I like what I was hearing. It's it sounds very much like they're moving away from the Jedi robes. Which, if I have to be honest, if there's something I didn't like about The Force Awakens, it was that thing Luke was wearing at the end.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you guys think of that.
It's kind of, it doesn't really fit, like you say. It's like a, you see the kind of evolution of his wardrobe as the films go on, and there's a definite thematic element to it, and then you see him in 7, and it's like a, it's like he's almost tried to force himself to go back in the other direction too far.
Yeah, it's too prequely.
Yeah, it's very prequely. I mean, I don't know if it's something he's just found, or whether it's something he's made. It could be handcrafted. Could be handmade.
It does look like he enjoys a bit of part-time haberdashery, and maybe he's found all the
He
patterns
does.
in this on Skellig Michael Island.
Maybe he's got that beard, so he could be like a sort of artisan, sort of middle-class hipster.
Yeah.
If you just look closely in his robot hand, there's a Pret-a-Manger bag and a Starbucks cup.
And he's got a monocle in his pocket. And there's a fedora downstairs. That's what
Oh, heavens, what kept you, madam? Milady.
Steve, how did you feel about Luke's robes at the end of Force Awakens? Or were you too distraught by the fact that he was only on screen for 2 minutes?
Well, yeah. I mean, they look to me like something he's making do with,
Yeah.
rather than he might have made them. That might be skin from all the Knights of Ren, and he's turned into a bit of a psycho.
You have
Buffalo
You've been
Luke.
You've been fantastic the last couple of episodes, Steve, for taking it in a completely different gear.
Yeah, I think that might be where we're seeing him go.
Yeah, Luke and his meat
He's
robes.
the one tucking his genitalia between his legs.
I will-
Wild Horse.
I will say, well, one, you're probably right, because I don't imagine there's a lot of pants in scaling, in Jedi, in the Jedi
Okay.
Order. The other thing is, every time I see him in those robes, I think back to that Futurama line where he just goes, "But I am in my pajamas." It makes me think like he's watching the ship come down, and he's like, "Oh, I should go and meet them, but I am already in my pajamas."
It's very reminiscent of Obi-Wan, isn't it, in A New Hope?
Yes,
It is,
So-
and
Yeah.
that might be hints towards Luke's off-screen activities, because we know from
Yes.
the novelisation that he spent some time with Lars Santeca looking for Jedi temples, and maybe it was an effort of Luke's to get back to more traditional Jedi ways. And what we're going to see now, if this Making Star Wars.net story is anything to go by, will be Luke moving towards his Return of the Jedi style costume.
yeah.
Did you read that report, Steve?
No.
Okay,
no.
well it's
Can
it's
you go over it now?
sorry.
Can you go over it now?
Yeah, I'll discuss it now. It's
Yeah.
to break it down sort of briefly, it looks very much like Luke's going to be wearing a dark tunic and dark trousers underneath a dark robe. So it's going to be very underneath a dark cloak, which is going to be very reminiscent of Count Dooku's. So it's kind of like that short robe and cloak that goes over one shoulder. But the bit that really filled my heart with joy is that the one black glove is going to make a return and cover the robot hand.
Cool.
That's the thing. I really like the sound of that. And
it sounds awesome.
Now, if there is any truth to that, the logical extension of that is to question what position that places Luke in. And this is the question I really wanted to discuss this evening: is what do we think Luke's role is going to be in 8? Bearing in mind now that we're going to see him. We discussed earlier the whole force choking of a Gamorrean guard being Darkseid and Luke's wardrobe at the time. Can we justify reading a little bit too much into this and saying if he's going to be in dark robes, there's going to be a darker energy about him? What do you think?
I don't know.
I have a theory on this. So I think that he's going to serve a twofold role. So obviously we know he's going to be the one responsible for training Rey because her power is very raw and very much uncontrolled. I also think he's going to serve as he's going to do like Han did in episode 7 in terms of bringing us up to speed with what we missed between Jedi and these films, but in a very much more specific way regarding the Jedi and the Force and the rise of the First Order and the Knights of Ren. So I think he's going to fill that role in terms of exposition. He's going to provide a bit more backstory on the fall of the Jedi Temple and Kylo Ren's fall to the dark side, probably as a teaching mechanism in terms of how to stay clear of the pull of the darkness and things like that. And maybe he'll kind of give her a bit of clarity on some of the stuff she remembers but doesn't quite have context for.
I really like that. That to me, as you were saying that, Rob, that I had visions of the Yoda on Luke's back with the whole speech about quicker, easier, more seductive, all of that stuff. Yep. Whilst you're seeing action, perhaps that he can be training Daisy in dueling techniques or exercising her, running her across that island. She's doing all the backflips and, he was climbing vines and everything on Dagobah, wasn't he? Doing all this wild stuff.
Or just after they've had a sparring match or something like that, while they're sort of warming down.
Oh, I love the idea of that. I really like that.
It's very cinematic, isn't it? It jumps into your head and it's very quick, very easy to picture.
An absolutely cinematic info dump instead of two people sitting there. George, and you know how much I love Uncle George, but he would have put two characters on a green screen, locked the camera off, pasted in a temple behind them and just had them talk to each other for 15 minutes. But I really love the energy. I am just so jazzed thinking about that exact thing of the dissemination of that information in an action scene. Like, not a battle scene, but those two doing stuff together, that would be fantastic. Take my money.
I don't
they will anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think for 1 minute Luke is bad, by the way, in any of the remaining films.
No?
In Darkseid. Not at all. He's already passed his test. And he's too old to be thinking about going to the dark side. He's already passed right. That's done. I think that might be a bit of misdirection there. And like when John Boyega wore that black glove to one of the that was so clever, because I guarantee you they said, can you wear that glove? Like, it will throw everyone off track, make it think you've got the Force, you're the future.
We started predicting that he was going to lose a hand, didn't we? In that duel with Kylo Ren. Because we'd seen him light up the lightsaber at that point. We just thought, this is him. He's totally Luked.
It's so clever what they did. And also, they even did it where they made it sound like he was kind of in trouble for wearing that glove.
Yeah.
And, and it was nothing to do. There was no, it's just very clever misdirection. And I think talking about Luke going bad and having that kind of darkness about him is just completely wrong. Because, like I say, he's already passed. He's gone beyond that.
That makes so much sense.
Maybe you're right.
That's made so much. What you've just said, Rob and Steve, that is such a wise thing to say. He's passed his test. He's done with his journey. The one thing I will say is, and I guess it still applies, because when I was thinking about this, putting these show notes together, I was thinking, if Luke's going to dress like Count Dooku, then perhaps his motivations are going to be similar to Count Dooku. And if you think about Count Dooku, he was a fallen Jedi more than he was a Sith. He was playing the Sith. But I think there was a lot of truth in what he was saying to Obi-Wan in episode 2, where he was sort of saying, help me overthrow the Sith, let's get rid of the Sith. The way the Jedi are doing things is wrong. Kind of the way the Sith are doing things is wrong as well, but we can do something in between. And Qui-Gon would have understood and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I wonder if there's a way this supports what you and I have said a few times now, that perhaps Luke is a nexus between the light side and the dark side, and perhaps this wardrobe design and the fact that we've got this light Jedi, and like Steve said, he's passed his test, he's a Jedi master now, but he's also the darker robes. And maybe he's also still employing the dark side of the Force in some of these techniques, because he's subject to different rules now. Maybe. Much the way Count Dooku saw himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's we've talked about how in the Inner Legends canon you had the potentium theory, which was that there was no light or dark force. It was just how it was what was in the person's kind of in their character and in their heart that would actually determine whether evil was committed using the force or whether it was good. It was all much more down to the person's free will rather than the will of the force. It was, the force was just an energy source that you could tap into and understand and use it to understand the universe better and things like that. Maybe they'll reintroduce that kind of mentality to it. Because actually, when I was watching episode 2 and I was watching Dooku's stuff and he was saying about Qui-Gon sort of understanding, it made me think about that kind of potentium idea where it's a bit more, there's a lot more grey area. We've talked about how we think there's going to be, greyness in the Force is going to be a theme, because we've already talked about dark and light being an attractive quality for Snoke when it comes to Kylo Ren. And we know that Luke has sort of flirted with the dark side before. We think that Rey might have at the end of Force Awakens. So there's going to be, I think, more of a exposition that there's this grey area of the Force where people can walk the line. Yeah. And it's about being able to come back from that, effectively.
I mean, I do think. Sorry, Mark.
No, go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, in relation to Luke, I do think, and we've probably touched on it before, my gut feeling is he's been defeated in the recent past, possibly by the Knights of Ren, and he's actually the one that you're in the position of Rey in her hallucination in the rain, and he's on the ground, and that's why he's in exile on that island. Ooh, like Yoda in exile, to exile I must go.
Yeah, because he's been defeated. Well, I think it's just even not being defeated in a lightsaber battle. You don't have to have been beaten in a fight to have been beaten. To sort of to feel defeated. He might just have felt that was enough to defeat him, and he needed to kind of go away and think on what think about what he'd done, and come back to it when he felt stronger and when opportunity presented itself. We don't really get a clear idea of how long he's been gone.
Yeah, don't forget what we were saying previously as well about a Jedi and the way if they are if they see themselves as a valuable resource, they go into exile until there's somebody there to pass that knowledge on to. We've said that before, haven't we? That might have been Yoda's motivation. That was certainly Obi-Wan's motivation, and now it might be that's Luke's motivation. Is after the fall of his Jedi school and the loss of all of those potential Jedi Knights, all these Padawans. Perhaps he did need to retreat, to keep himself safe, to keep himself hidden, so that when the next New Hope rose to the surface, he would be there to bestow his wisdom on them.
Yeah. So and he has got that weird look on his face, hasn't he? I mean, that look, we know when he looks around, he's like, oh, frig. It's not like looking at her to say, like, oh, it's you. To me, that face screams out, you have no idea what's been going on. Like, this has hit the fan.
Yeah, I know. I'll probe droid that one out. I wonder if we discussed this last week, and I wonder if part of what that look is on his face is that he knows who she is. Now, she was that little girl, and if we're right and she does turn out to be something extra special, like a Virgins, I wonder if now that look on his face, that borderline, it seems, well, it says in the book, doesn't it, haunted countenance. We covered that last week.
Yeah.
He's got this haunted countenance. I wonder if he's concerned at all that now he's gonna walk the same path as Obi-Wan did before, and Obi-Wan's done this twice.
Yeah.
He tried to walk Anakin through the training process, and then he tried to bring Luke through the training process. And both times that's led the respective characters to the dark side, even though, as we said, Luke managed to step back from it. Yeah. I wonder whether Luke's looking at her thinking, oh, here we go then, this is the first step on your journey.
Maybe. I mean, I still
maintain
there's a bit of guilt in that look as well, which says, you know, I've been off kind of doing my own thing, and look what it's cost the galaxy. You know, the Hosnian system and Han's life have both been kind of he could easily blame himself for those things.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of that to it as well. But I think you're right in that. I think it's it's knowledge of it's both knowledge of what's happened and what's to come.
Yeah.
I think.
What was the Star Trek film, the second one, called?
Into Darkness.
Oh yeah, that's why I've got it in my head. I keep thinking that as a possible name, but that's where I'm getting it from.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if, Empire Strikes Back, it was a dark name, in the sense of the Empire. I'm thinking maybe some sort of dark name for the second one.
I think it's episode 8. Oh, here come the First Order.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Star Wars episode 8.
Oh, I've got episode 8. It came from behind. What do you want, Mark? Yours first, sorry.
Carry on, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's. I've had my mind open this evening, I have to say, because I've been very closed off about what I've considered Luke's role to be.
Okay.
In episode 8, and I've been convinced. I've painted myself into a corner, really. I suppose, if I'm honest, that I've assumed that we will see Rey go to the dark side, and I've assumed that Luke will have a role in that. But it's nice to hear, Rob, what you were saying about how he would use her training to get us caught up on everything we've missed.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I hope they do that. I'm really excited about the prospect of that. But Steve, the wisdom of the night goes to you. He's passed his test. That's just perfect.
I think you're right. I think Steve's right. I think we may see him kind of a bit more confident in where the line is in terms of the light and the dark. So we may see a bit of that in his demeanor. If she sort of says, well, I've heard that's a well, you can get away with a bit, that sort of thing. Yeah,
the sky doesn't fall.
Yeah, exactly. We might see a bit of that in his demeanor and his mannerisms and stuff. The kind of, what's the worst that could happen? Kind of the stuff that he knows that he's been able to come back from successfully. But I think Steve's right. I think he's going to be more of a light character than the dark character. Even if there's complexity to him, I think it's going to be more light than dark for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's that confusion anymore, and that troubled sort of countenance that he had in the first films. He's on the side now.
Yeah,
he's not. That tug of war thing going on. That's all gone. I think he's more like Yoda now. It's just the thing that troubles him is other people's, seesawing up and down from light to dark.
Like Ben. Ben Solo.
Which is where Rey's going to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, that depends, doesn't it, on who she rushes off to save. Because if we find the second act of episode 8 plunges Finn and Poe into trouble, are we going to see... I know, Steve, you're probably not a big fan of the idea that we're going to follow the rhythms and hues of episode 5 too closely, but if she suddenly finds her friends are at risk, is she going to dart off untrained? Will she pull Luke out into action? I don't know. There's so many reasons to be dead excited for this movie, isn't there?
I've got a horrible feeling that Luke doesn't go anywhere in this film and stays on that island like Yoda did. Yoda did.
I don't know. There were some rumours coming out from Dubrovnik of Mark Hamill being on in a casino-like setting. with Daisy.
Okay.
So I think maybe he does leave that island, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe if Yoda had left the island, things would have turned out a little bit different. Or if he'd left Dagobah, things would have been a bit different.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's
very interesting.
Yeah, we've got a good bead on where this is going, I think. And now I'm really... I might have to watch Force Awakens again right now. Okay, let's wrap this up and go back to watching films. Okay, chaps, that's it for this week. Where can we find you between episodes?
Go on, Rob. You go first, mate.
All right, mate. I'm on Twitter at RobWadeVision. I also have a lovely blog that I have as a creative project, which I run with a few friends. It's called Emotionally 14. The website's emotionally14.com. There's a YouTube, there's a Facebook, there's a Twitter, podcasts on iTunes, the works. So, I'm very prolific when it comes to creative content. I just don't stop, and I should, because, eventually I'll just run out of steam, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, to be honest, this year has been one of those ones where I'm all right with not being famous because it's, it means you're for it.
You're infamous, Rob.
Well,
Stephen?
I'm on YouTube only because I'm a social tard, a social media tard. I'm on Calistine.
You're a Twittard.
Yeah, Twittard. I'm on YouTube as my channel's called Calistine, Calastein, and I moan a lot about the state of the world. I also build insect habitats. I'm currently building the biggest insect hotel I've ever done, which is 4,000 holes. So I'm doing videos about building that, and that is 15 hours of drilling non-stop.
Is that like a hotel for dogs?
It's kind of very small dogs with wings that buzz.
Okay. I'm just trying to relate it to things I understand.
Are they beagles?
Hey!
I could be a 5-year-old child, couldn't I, with jokes like that? Okay, there's going to be one link in the show notes this week, and it's going to take you to a page on the website that will give you links to all of our stuff. So you'll find Steve's Twitter and YouTube, Rob's Twitter and YouTube right there. You'll also find links to my stuff at Talk Star Wars on Twitter and the main website, talkstarwars.co.uk. Thanks for joining us. There'll be no After Dark Side this week, but we'll be back next week.
It's a wrap!
It's a wrap!
We almost did it. All right.
That's good.
See you next week. See you next week, everybody. I might leave that all in.
Bye now. It's a wrap!